Hey everyone. One of the toughest parts of building your dream home is visualizing how it's all going to really look when it comes together. And there are so many questions that you have. I know that, not just on finishes and furnishings, but how are the spaces going to flow and what's the scale of the actual building on your lot? So when I'm designing homes for my clients, we actually work entirely in high resolution 3D, and we build out the interiors and the exteriors in animation form so that a customer can walk through and experience the space digitally. But even with that, even with all that realism that we have right now, there's still just that nagging insecurity that you have of how it's all going to flow and how it relates to your site. And that's why I did an absolute dead stop when I was, searching on Instagram or Facebook one day, and I ran across this thing called bigfloorplans.com. And, it was right there in front of me, like the missing piece. I saw these pictures of these enormous floor plans laid out on somebody's vacant lot. So I was so intrigued. I actually just picked up the phone and I called them because I really wanted to know more. And so Tommy Kramer picked up the phone. And after speaking for a while and picking his brain, I thought, this is something that I really want to try using for my own projects and that I really want to share with my community. So Tommy was very generous and he agreed to join me here. He's here today for this quick interview, but we're going to learn something about this unbelievable product. So Tommy, why don't you just tell me a little bit about your story and how you got into this and where did the idea come from?
Sure. So I come from the printing world, and a couple of my buddies are from the construction world. And I frequently saw them messing around and doing takeoffs, looking at desktop blueprints. Knowing that they spent all that time looking at it, I know that I could blow that image up to life size and then increase communication between all parties and see where that could come from and what that leads to. With that project and that thought, it's led us down some really interesting paths, and we've really been happy with the feedback we've gotten so far.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Like I said, when I saw it, it really was like the missing link because we've been doing this really high-end fly-through animations. We've actually been doing it for about 20 years in our firm. We started when it was really, really early. And we've worked with some architects that do the virtual reality headsets and things, and but there's something about seeing it on your lot. And that's what I think is so fascinating about this product. So just so I can give our audience a little context here, I'm going to go to your website and pull this up. And I would like to give you an opportunity. I'll click through these pictures and I would love to just hear you talk about the product and how you were using it and what the client's experience actually was. So we're here, it looks like in a typical builder neighborhood. Tell me about this one.
So we're in Bellbrook, Ohio here. That's on our mesh product. We did that in one piece. They left that out for 3 to 4 months in the field for them. And then as that development was getting built, it became almost an attraction for the builders and anybody that was looking for a lot to see their available floor plans. But for the buyer individually, it helped ease a ton of their anxiety seeing it on the site where it was going to be. As you can kind of see the neighbors left and right.
Right.
They had their full layout of where everything was. They had parked their car in the garage. You'll see that on a couple of other pictures, but allows you to check some boxes off before the ground's even broken.
Yeah, now most HOAs, I don't know how it was in this particular area, but most HOAs will have building setbacks. So, the house can't extend to a certain part of the yard. It looks like from this picture, that was probably one of those kind of neighborhoods, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So this actually gives you a little bit of you as the client and the architect, actually, a little bit of a reality check before you start construction. So, you can get out, you can walk around the house and see how your yard is working. To me, I'm looking at that top right corner and it looks like, it was a little tight in there. Now that may have been within those HOA setbacks, but I'm just bringing that up as a point where you could see.
So really that top right, they didn't have the land graded all the way. So it's a little fuzzy there. It's kind of over a bush, the material there.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the point is you can get out there and you can really kind of see these things. You can check your view corridors. You can see how your yard feels. How have your customers used it?
Yeah. So they've used it for checking when the sun's coming, landscaping, a bunch of different applications there.
I love this too. Like the reality check of will the car fit in the garage?
That's what we've had a little video that somebody had to sell their truck because it literally didn't fit in the garage. There's little things like that.
Yeah, it happens
one
all the time.
design change could save you quite a bit of cash there.
Yep, and it happens all the time. I personally am in California,
Okay.
so garage spaces are notoriously tight. And I can't tell you how many times somebody has to either design around a car. We've designed around Rolls Royces and all kinds of specialty cars, but at the same time, we've designed around the soccer mom who can't fit the minivan into the garage and be able to get out of the car. So I think this is fantastic for those kind of things. This you were telling me is from a high-rise building.
Yeah, it's
Tell me a little-
go ahead. It's in the 11th story of a skyscraper in Boston for a commercial application. So that's on our solid product, and we didn't weld that together, but they were able to apply that in strips and lay it out by themselves in the field on the 11th floor and be able to work around those poles and pillars.
That's pretty amazing. And this also really intrigued me because, well, let's talk about the process. This is how I view using this product in terms of the initial sighting and moving all the way through to like framing and things like that. So you and I were talking about this a little bit before we got on here. But the first thing I would do, the way I would use this is I'd get my surveyor on site and I would have this floor plan spread out on the lot. And you were telling me there is a little bit of inaccuracy when you do this large of a blow up. Like, can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so the material has a little stretch to it as it's going through the machines. So if it's 100 foot long, it might be 100 foot 3 inches. So there is a little, we can't promise we're going to be exact, but it's going to be very, very, very close.
Okay.
You can use it as a guide.
Okay, so if I was doing this, and when we do this, because I do plan to use this on my next project that I'm laying out from grading, we would have the surveyor on site with us. We'd have the surveyor and probably the concrete sub and the foundation, the grader, on site with us. And we'd get all our grid lines set and we'd get everything oriented exactly the way it's supposed to be. And then if there is a little bit of flex in the mesh, we would be able to correct for that right on site with the grid points. No problem.
Yeah, I think this would speed up the process greatly.
Yeah. So then after that, what I pictured doing with it would be to remove it at that point, store it, do your grading and foundation work using the points that you use with the mesh, with the big floor plan and with the surveyor. And then after you've got your slab poured and you start working on if you have a basement, probably wouldn't use it in the basement, but I would use it on the first and second floor if it was a 1 or 2 story house. And then I'd use it like you were showing in that upper, the high-rise building. I would actually put it on the ground inside and have the framers work to this too. Again, they'd be shooting their levels and making sure everything is absolutely 100% accurate. But this to me seems like it would really substantially speed up the framing process. Do you have any experience with that, or have you seen anybody use it that way?
We haven't heard directly they've used it that way, but we think it's very possible. It's usually just been the home buyer and their wants for it, but it hasn't ended up going through the builder's framers yet.
Yeah, there's a lot of challenges with labor right now, and there's a lot less senior project management on jobs. So
Mhm.
this to me is like a almost like a backup plan. It just makes it really easy for the framing crew to understand what they're aiming for. Now they've still got to use their own methods to get everything exactly straight and exactly level and make sure everything is structurally built the right way, but at least you know where you're you know where you're going with this. So I think that's pretty fascinating, and that's how I plan to use it when we bring this on site. So let me go through these, a few more of these pictures and just tell me. Um, that looks like a beautiful lot. Where is that, by the way?
It's Bellbrook, Ohio, where that one
Okay,
is.
that's where you guys are based, right? You're in Ohio?
Dayton, but yeah, Bellbrook's a suburb of Dayton.
Okay, yeah, that looks like a beautiful lot. So they evidently included, is that their pool over
That is
there?
the pool, and it's a separate plan just to kind of help on size there, but you can, it's two different plans there, but we could have made that in one piece. That
Okay.
you can see the layout there, but they
Well,
were
that
playing
brings up
around with
another, yeah, that brings up another point that's fantastic because if you do have a lot of hardscape in your yard or you want to see how the pool feels in relationship to the house, um, that's always a big issue in the homes that we're designing. Sometimes people want the water really close to the house, sometimes they want it far away, but there's this balance of, like where do you locate everything? So this would be fabulous to have the plant
very
material.
lightweight, easy to move, kind of play around with,
Yep.
see where you exactly want it.
Okay. I think that's great. And then what is this? This is just a,
That's
tell
just
me.
a closer up picture of this, the same lot, the first one we looked at.
Okay.
Kind of shows you we have our logos around that perimeter, but we could put anybody's logo there to rule around there, but all the details that you want are able to be edited and added.
Okay. So if I've got any builders or architects listening to this, that's an opportunity for them.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then tell me about this one.
So that we got reached out to by a school and asked if we had anything that their students could use for their forget the exact industry. I mean, it's a construction industry, but for their high school students to learn and develop in the construction industry. So they're using the school for the school. They're using it for their tests. We send them the file. They'll kind of have a test at the end of the semester, seeing if they can find where the window is and whatever little questions the teacher can make them.
That's pretty cool. Okay. And this was on a hillside. I'm still processing in my head how this would work on hillside because you can see in this picture, it's a great way, in my opinion, to just get your client out, make sure the home is sited correctly on the lot, and get a general feel for the spaces. But with the changes in the grading there, it might be a little bit of a not 100% accurate experience, but
It'll take the shape of whatever it's laying on.
Yeah, exactly. So there would still be some work to do, but at least it gets you out there on your site, understanding, where the spaces are. And one thing that we always do with our structures is we do a lot of really careful siting with view corridors. And so we do it in our 3D renderings, but then we also keep refining it as we're actually doing construction. So to me, this is just another way to really get out on the lot and be able to talk with my clients about what they want to see from certain places in their house. Have you gotten any feedback from your clients on this yet?
Yeah, so generally when they go out there, they will say they want to schedule an hour. They end up out there for 3 because they'll see something. They walk into each room. They spend more time there than they think. People generally get really excited. It's been encouraging hearing that feedback.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I'm sure they're doing this with their architect and their builder probably, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we think the more people on site, the better. That can increase communication between all parties. We'll have a better result.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
They're just trying to increase communication between kind of all parties. The home buyer themselves tend to be pretty nervous about that huge purchase in their lives. Anybody else that they can bring in as they're walking through to settle some anxieties, we're encouraged about. Whoever can team up.
Now I'm looking at this picture, and this looks like a parking lot, but this brings up something that happens very often with my clients. And it has to do with motor courts on individual houses. And there are certain requirements that have to be met in the city of LA for motor courts and turning radiuses and things like that. But it's really important for clients to experience it with their vehicles.
Yeah.
They want, so I could see using this even for that application.
So this is a model of a gas station. So then as they can see, this isn't on the site it was, but they could take that out to the site. They were shipping it to California, and then to whoever could have their shareholders view the plan, not even on site. But yeah, as the landscaping or driveways, cars, gas pumps, you can get your whole layout of the entire site.
I can totally see that. So the more I'm interacting with this product, the more I'm realizing how invaluable it is, because especially in California, we have so many issues around regulations, but then we have a lot of car collectors and things like that. So even being able to test out garage space, we have a lot of subterranean garages. So if you could get your customer out on a big open space like that and let them feel how it would be to pull their car into these giant garages, I think that would be amazing. So tell me about this. So obviously the material is rolled up, it's lightweight, it's compact.
Yep, it's super lightweight. It's about 20 pounds per 1,000 square feet.
Okay.
Maybe a little less. But that just showing how light it is. That it's about 2,000 square feet there, and our gentleman was able to do it all himself.
That's awesome. I love it. Okay, and so another just interpretation check.
Commercial bank in Wisconsin. They zoomed it up. They brought their shareholders out there. And we were able to walk through their bank branch on site before the ground broke.
That's amazing. So, okay, now this brings up another thing, because I see this one is filled with furniture. And that's another thing that even when you see it in computer renderings and things like that, clients have a hard time experiencing the scale of the furniture. So this is a way you could get it out there and be able to do that as well, to see how you can walk around the bed, see if there's enough passage coming into a room, if you're passing nightstands or beds or couches or things like that. So what kind of feedback have you gotten from your clients on that?
So from this one, their IT and software room wasn't big enough. They had to change a couple of their door openings. On this one in particular, they had a couple of change orders that ended up saving them a ton of time and money. So
yeah,
encouraging there. They brought everybody through to walk through you kind of see in the back right corners their office rooms, and everybody's able to figure out where they're going to be and what their problems are as they walk through.
Right. And when you're doing custom home construction, the biggest thing you want to avoid is in the field change orders. So this is just another way to give you that added security that you're not going to be, wasting a lot of money making mistakes. And I love this one.
Yeah, that was a happy customer. Put that on her Snapchat, I believe. They brought their kids out there. We've had people bring their grandma in a wheelchair, kind of walk through to make sure we're compliant there. If anybody has tough things they got to go through, but even little kids, that's can't really see it that well, but that's a pillow on their bed that he's laying in and kind of getting the feel of his room.
That's so cute. And that's another. That brought up another thing for me. It's this kind of project is really hard on kids.
Yeah.
They're displaced, and big custom home projects take anywhere from 18 months to sometimes 4 years. So
Sure.
it's hard on kids. The parents are really enthusiastic about doing it because building that new home is just going to offer their family so much more in terms of what they can do and the memories that they can make together. But getting there is really tough. So when I see that, that little boy in his future bedroom, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool to see everybody excited. get on board.
Yep. So now I want to just shift into some of the like technicalities of this product. So I know it comes in big pieces that are kind of seamed or fused together. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we have two ways we can finish it, where we do it in one piece and we weld it in our shop, which is a little more expensive, or we can provide it in strips, which is what they did in the 11th story of that skyscraper so they can get around the buildings. So it's really up to the user there. It's a little more cheaper if we do it in strips because it's a less work on our production floor, but you have the options there, whether it's easier in one piece to install, but doing it in strips isn't that much of a added on if you have another person.
Okay.
Or even yourself, really.
I know for my own purposes, I think I would want you guys to do the fusing because I would know the alignment would be more accurate than if I'm trying to do it in the field. And just being able to kind of pack it up and move it around.
So when we're doing it in the field, we put a guideline and a ruler on there where you're putting, the triangle on the triangle, the square on the square. So
Okay.
you are able to line those up very, very, very well.
Okay. So yeah, that would help for sure. And from what I understand, from what I saw in the sample kit that you sent me, there's two different kinds of material. So can you talk to
So we have a solid product and a mesh product. The material themselves are pretty much exactly the same. The difference is the mesh has holes in it. It's a little more expensive, but the mesh itself, I find easier to install. It allows water to drain. It allows wind to drain. It's better for long-term usage. The solid product is a bit cheaper, but it's going to hold rainwater if you were to leave it out in the field for a week. Wherever your divot is in the yard, water will stick on that.
Okay.
So kind of pick your poison there, what you're after.
Okay.
The mesh doesn't show color as well because there's holes in it. The solid, if you want to show different flooring, different wood grains, your tile, we can get very commercially close to whatever color you put in the file, or if you're after a Trex deck or whatever specific color you're after, we can get real close with that. I would recommend solid if color is your bigger concern, but we found most people that just wanted it in black and white.
Okay. All right, good. So what else do you think that the viewers should know about this product?
I think it's repurposable, it's reusable. And if a custom home building, there's probably not that much of a repeatability of it, but I kind of think you should treat it almost as insurance. One change order, it's probably worth the cost of getting everybody on the same page.
Yeah, and so let's go into that a little bit. I was looking at some of your pricing, and to me, it's extremely reasonable because I do know how much, I know intimately how much just one little change order can end up costing. And it's usually not one change order on a job. It's many, many, many change orders. So anything you can do along the way to reduce that is good. But tell us about the pricing. Like what I'm seeing people building right now is a lot of people are downsizing. So they're going into homes that are around 3,000 square feet. And then some people are upsizing, so they're going into homes that are around 5,000 or 6,000 square feet. So can you give me an idea of the pricing?
Sure. So for 3,000 square feet, you're about at $1 a square foot. 5,000 square feet, you're about at 81 cents a square foot. And then
so to me, that seems really reasonable.
And then if you were doing them in strips, about 55 cents a square foot. So you are paying a little premium to do it in one piece.
Okay. And how long does it take you to actually be able to produce one of these things? What kind of lead time do you need?
After PDF approval, once we get the file, we'll send it back to you to make sure it's squared away how you want it to look. And then from that point, it's about 1 to 2 weeks plus ground shipping. California has added 4 days. If it was to Texas and East, it's 2 days.
Okay. And then in terms of the approval process, a client would need to I'm assuming they could supply you with any kind of PDF or CAD or Revit file or something like that.
PDF file, they can convert it to Illustrator, or we can convert it most files to get it to what we need. And then from that point, we'll send it back to you. You sign off on it, and then we're good to go.
Okay. So the approval process, tell me about that a little bit, because the client's actually supplying the file.
Sure.
So what's the approval for?
So we take that file. If we want to put the ruler around it, if we're adding any logos, if there's any elements you need us to add, we can do it. Or if the file's ready as is, we convert it, make sure we're sending it out to our press the right way. You guys sign off on it and we approve it from there. So it's really just a PDF that you'll get to your inbox, whatever email you provide. Look at it on your screen, reply to me, approved, or to our imaging techs, and we can take it from there.
Okay, sounds quick and painless to me.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward on that process. Once you're through the hoops of getting your file ready and got that layout, seems to be the bigger trick there.
Okay. Well, I wanted to share some good news with my community because you and I have been talking and you guys have been generous enough to give me a discount code that anybody that's watching that's in a private Facebook group or on the YouTube channel can use this discount. It's just use the code DBA10 and you'll get 10% off the price. And if you're just calling in, just let them know that Kim sent you. And they'll pass that on to you, no problem. But is there anything else that they should know before we wrap up?
Looking forward to happy to talk to anybody and answer any questions they have.
Yeah, well, I just want to say thank you. I'm so glad that I found this
Everybody's
project.
fine. Thank you so much as well.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward. So when I do use it on my first project, I'll definitely be sharing the experience within my group and my community because I think it's just kind of a missing link, like I said. And it was a pleasure to meet you.
You as
And
well.
I'm looking forward to continuing to work with you.
Thank you. You as well.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.